Good
Why
to
not?
see you, man. How are you doing?
All good, man. All good. And you?
Yeah, doing okay. I
Excellent.
uh, I
Excellent.
feel I feel I look at your interview schedule and I just feel terrible. It has been
Oh,
so many. I mean,
no, not at all.
really.
I remember from doing interview tours that I had like 15 a day. Now, 20 a day. Some one day in France, I had 20. And
Wow.
you get to number 15 and you're like, I don't know what I already said to this interviewer. So you're just repeating yourself, or did I already say this? And who are you? And it was too much.
Yeah, that's a
It was
lot.
too
That's
much.
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
but at least now, at least you're home, right? That's so much easier. It's got to be a lot better.
Yeah, and it's not that much at all. It's
Yeah.
I think after 10 I start to feel it now,
Yeah.
getting older and shit, and then your head is like, oh,
It's
and
sort of a weird dynamic, right? Because on the other hand, if there's no interviews, then you're like, well, what happened?
that's awful.
No one wants to speak to me.
That's awful. Yeah, that's even worse. Even
Right.
worse. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember on the promo tour, we came into Switzerland, and there was like, okay, let's do the interviews. Well, there's only one. Okay, nice. We came all the way to Switzerland, but
Wow.
so yeah,
Yeah, that would
yeah.
suck.
You have the
Well,
same CD racks as I have, exactly the same.
there you go. See,
Yeah,
it
maybe
it
also
makes
the same CDs.
probably many similar CDs. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the new Star One album. Comes out February 18th. Revel in Time, returning to Star One after about 10 years.
Yes.
Um, listen, I'm gonna like we mentioned a lot of these questions you've been asked, but I think we need to give a
No
little bit
problem at all.
of a
Of
brief
course.
background about why you brought this back. What
Yeah.
prompted you to return to Star One and work on this music?
Well, as I always say, every album I make is a reaction to the previous album. So if I make like this very big, huge album, I make a small acoustic album after that. The album before this was Transitus by Arion. And it was kind of like a musical, people didn't expect it. Um, uh, uh, some weren't too happy with it, I have to say, which, I've uh, for 25 years, people always told me Arion's great, Arion's fantastic, everyone loves everything, and lists, and only positive reviews, and then suddenly you make an album and there's like negative noises. And on the one side it hurts, but on the other side I'm like, okay, these people are honest.
Fair enough.
And
Yep.
they were also honest when they said they like my stuff. It's not like everything I do is great. And
Right.
but yeah, still I was like, okay, Transitors wasn't really a prog album. It wasn't really a metal album. Um, and I think people just expected something different. So I was like, I gotta make some noise now, for me, but also for the fans. And I want to make it less complicated. It's just guitar riffs, and the guitars will lead me to the chorus, and will lead me to the, not to think too much about it, and that automatically leads me to Star One. And like you said, it's been more than 10 years since the last one, so guess it was about time.
Yeah. Look, I gotta tell you, I mean, I love this record. It's a fun record. The performances are great. It's energetic. It still sounds like what you do, but it sort of has a, I don't know, maybe just like a freshness about it. The hooks are right there, like you're saying. And, it's not overly complicated, but it's a lot of fun. It's fun to make and write, I think.
It was very much fun to make. It was because Transitus was like hard work, which I don't mind. I like hard work, but still, just to let it flow. And like you say, it was a fun album. Also because the guest musicians were so great. Each and every one of them was just not just a great musician or a great singer, but great persons.
Yeah.
But I remember saying to Laurie, "Oh, this guy is so nice." Yeah, but you said that about the previous one. But really, they're all so extremely nice, such extremely nice guys. Which you would say, what? what do you care? You have an album to make, and as long as it's good, what the hell? But it's important for me. It's
Sure.
important that they like my music, that they like the song, that maybe they even like the movie. It just I don't know. It puts me in a good mood and it gives me inspiration.
Right, and then it's not a chore like, oh, I got to work with this guy again. Why
No,
why did
no.
I ask him? I'm regretting
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. And I've had that, I had that in the past, like, yeah, oh, shit, or it doesn't work out, or I don't have a good feeling about it, and then I just don't release it. So often in interviews, I get asked, who is your favorite on the album? Yeah, all of them, because those I didn't like didn't make the album.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
really,
Right.
yeah.
So there's some people maybe we don't know in the past that you worked with that just never talked
Oh
about.
yes, oh yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm in an angry mood, I maybe say something too much, about someone. But yeah, there have been people that were disappointing as maybe as a person or maybe also as a musician. But I'm very demanding. I'm a totally spoiled bastard. I worked with the best musicians in the world, and now again on this album. I mean, damn it, Steve Vai, Jolene Turner, was Alan Florians. It's it's amazing. So I'm totally spoiled.
Yeah,
So the bar is very high.
I
So
wrote down some of those same names that like Jolyn Turner is one of my favorite singers and
same here.
um great. I mean, the fact he still sounds amazing. As I mean, you really have a generational. You're covering all the generations, right? You're going from Jolyn
Right.
Turner to
Yeah,
Ross
yeah,
Jennings. You got all
yeah.
different eras in there.
Totally right. Yeah.
What's the juggling act in figuring out who sings on what and who goes where and who should work with who and you
Well,
know.
firstly, I wanted, like you said, I wanted my heroes, the heroes that I grew up listening to. I mean, when I heard Spotlight Kid or Can't Let You Go or whatever, bent out of shape, straight between the eyes, difficult to cure. I was such a big Jolene Turner fan. So I've been trying him earlier to get him, but he couldn't do it. So this time he could do it. So
Mm.
yeah, I wanted to make a mix of my heroes and new talent. So basically, what I do, I make a list. There's this list of my absolute legends, and the big names are on there, like Robert Plant and Ian Gillan and David Gilmour and Kate Bush and Dio and Bowie, who unfortunately are not here anymore, unfortunately. Um, but I'm also subscribed to a lot of magazines and I read all the reviews. And when they talk about like this singer is amazing, he's the new Dio or whatever, I would always write it down and then check it out on YouTube. 99% of the time, I don't like it,
Right.
or at least I'm not like whoa, because I'm spoiled, like I said. But every now and then there's a singer that I just like and I like the voice and they still blow me away. So I make a list of those. Then the songs are ready, and then I look at the list, and then I'm like, okay, which singer would fit which song, and most of all, which singer do I think would like this song? If I take Fate of Man, I'm like, damn it, Britney Spears would like this track, and she would probably also be a Terminator fan. Plus, her voice would be perfect for this. So yeah, that's the way I think. And only sometimes would I specially write something for a singer. Like I saw Brandon Yeagley of Crowbot and on YouTube with the track Low Life. And I was like, oh, this singer, it's perfect. It's totally different style of music than me, but he would be brilliant. And then I specially wrote a track for him. So that happens too. There are no rules really.
Yeah. One of the guys that you've worked with for a while, but was new to me the last couple of years was Michael Mills, Toe Hider, his band. How did you come across finding him?
I think I read something about it. Yeah, I read something about it. Then I went to YouTube. Then I saw a Toe Hider song, and I totally loved it. It
Yeah, it's
was
crazy
it, it
stuff. It's
was
amazing.
very it was very much a Queen track, very
Yeah, yeah,
Queen,
yeah.
and the good Queen, Queen two, Queen one. those days, and I loved it. And then in the sidebar, you have all these suggestions, and I saw this guy with an acoustic guitar playing Thick as a Brick, and I just clicked on it, and I was like, oh, this guy's good too, whoa, playing and singing perfectly. So I put a comment there, hey man, great cover, not expecting to hear anything. And then he reacted, man, I love your music and thanks for the big compliment. So I started writing with him, and then I found out that he was also the guy behind Towhider. So it was kind of like a,
Mm,
and he became my hero. And I was like, you're going to get a major part on my next Arion album, which was the Theory of Everything. And he
right.
came all the way from Australia, and he was in Holland a couple of weeks even. He didn't. He wanted to get acclimatized. Is that a right word? It's a weird word, certainly.
Uh, yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not either. Anyway, he was in Holland for a long time, and he came to my studio, and it was brilliant. This guy is so incredibly good. And at that point, I decided I want you on every album I make from now on, and I want you on every show that I
Yeah,
do.
his
And
vocal range is insane, right? I mean,
it's
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 really something.
insane, but not just that. He can do everything.
Yeah,
He's
he
also
plays
an
everything.
amazing guitar player, and he writes amazing lyrics. So for this album, he wrote the lyrics for the song Prescient,
Oh,
because I
okay.
just couldn't do it. It was so complicated with all these vocal layers, and so I just contacted him and said, Mike, you're the only one who can write lyrics for this bastard. And he said, I said, do you have a favorite time song about time? And immediately he said, oh yes, Primer is my it's like this cult movie, and I've seen it 10 times, and I still don't understand it. And it was made for a few $1,000s, and it was a big success. So yeah, he wrote the lyrics for Prescient, and he did an amazing job. So
Yeah, yeah, that's a great
yeah,
song.
multi-talent.
Yeah. Well, one of the added things with having all the guests is that you ended up with two discs, or where on the second disc you have different singers.
I
Is
did.
that the first time you've done that, where you've duplicated the album just with different singers?
I'm not sure. It feels like I did it before, but
It's
uh,
hard to keep track.
yeah, it's hard to keep track. I think the first Aaron album, Final Experiment, we re-released it, and I didn't have any bonus tracks, and I didn't have the original tape. So then I recorded the whole album
Mm,
again acoustically with different singers, maybe.
okay, yeah,
But this time it's really exactly the same songs, exactly the same
right,
arrangements,
yeah.
but different singers. And I remember I wanted to do it before, earlier, but the guy at the record company, he was like, I'm not sure if that's a good idea, because then maybe you get some rivalry between singers, or people are saying, I like that singer, I like you. He was a bit afraid, but this time I felt like, the the guide vocals that JC and Marcela sang were so incredibly good. They were really on the same level as the eventual singers. So I really wanted to release that. And first I thought of a bonus disc, I call it guide vocals, but then I was like, no, this is not guide vocals. This is too good.
It's
This
just
is
as
really,
good, right? Yeah.
it's just as good. And then I started inviting other singers, a lot of singers that I'm good friends with, or that I've been emailing with a lot, and that I've always wanted to work with, that never had the chance. So yeah, I don't know how many singers there are on CD too, but yeah, there must be about seven or something.
Yeah, I haven't
And
counted all the guests. Do you have any idea how many you have on the album?
yes, yes, because we did the
The
guessing
games, that's
games,
right.
and there were 31 guessing games, and
That is wild.
that's not including the other musicians. So there must be about 40 musicians on
So
the
I
album.
actually want to talk about the guessing games because those are a lot of fun, very different, and I'm wondering, how do you keep all of this secret every time? Because you've done this for a while.
I know.
Yeah, and it's really like top secret stuff. It never comes out
It
until you
it
absolutely say.
it went wrong at some point with the previous album, where the record company sent something to an Italian distributor, and the names were in the email, and the
Ah,
guy accidentally sent that email to someone else, to a journalist, and he didn't know that at the bottom the names of the singers were. So the journalist saw it and put it on the internet. And luckily, I have my fans are perfect spies. They tell me
right.
everything,
Yeah.
and they told me, "Hey, the list is on the internet." And luckily, within 5 or 10 minutes, we got to this guy, and he took it away. But no, but to answer your question, the singers are. I don't even tell them, don't say anything about it. They just know,
Oh, really?
they just know to keep. Yeah, it's not like they have to sign a contract. You're not allowed to talk about it or anything. No, I think, yeah, maybe sometimes I tell them like, "Hey, man, I'm doing these guessing games." Well, they know, of course, because they all recorded a little reveal video for me, so they knew that the guessing games would be coming up. And they all, everyone but Tony Martin, I think, recorded like a reveal video, where they say like, "You guessed right, it's me, Russell Allen," or whatever.
Right.
So that was big fun. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
big
no,
fun.
that's cool. The last album, I know you because we spoke about it last, when you were putting that out. But it was during lockdown, if I remember correctly, it was a bit more ambitious that you wanted to do. There was a movie part and element involved,
True.
and all
Yeah,
of that, and
true.
you weren't. Do you need to get that?
No, no, I'll just turn it off. Okay. Oh, Paul McCartney. I'll get it. I'll coming
That's
back later.
perfect. I should do that. That's great. Uh, uh, it's always bothering me.
Yeah.
Is
Shut up, man. I
but
played it myself. Yeah.
you had a whole a bit more ambitious idea behind it,
Yeah.
a movie project and the whole thing, and COVID and lockdown kind of was part of what caused you to change it in the middle.
Right. Yeah.
Did the same thing because we're still in COVID, unbelievably.
Hmm.
Did that affect this album in a similar way, or it wasn't as bad this time around?
Basically, in a positive and in a negative way. The positive thing is that usually I ask 30 guests, can you sing on my album? And about 20 of them say yes. And about 10 of them are just too busy. They're on tour, which this time no one had an excuse.
Right.
They
Okay.
couldn't
Yeah.
they couldn't say, "No, sorry, I'm touring," because I'd be like, "No, no." So this time I asked 30 guest musicians, and they all said yes. That's also how I ended up with two CDs.
Right.
Because they were sitting at home, they were not touring, and they were like, "Yeah, sure, man, it gives me something to do." And so that was a positive thing. The negative thing basically was that I could not fly them all into my studio, which I basically always do with singers. Because if they're in my studio, I can guide them, and I can grab a guitar and let's try this, and you get to better
Yeah.
results that way. Couldn't do that this time, so I had to get guide vocals. I had to have guide vocals that I sent to them, so they know what the melody is. Guide vocals that were really, really, really good. That would really raise the bar for them. Um, so yeah, in the end, that's not really a negative thing either, because it turned out great, and I have an extra CD now. So
Right. Right. Right.
so yeah, basically, it didn't affect me much.
The whole packaging is great too. The artwork. If you want to talk about that a little bit, and at what point does the artwork happen? Do you have to present what the concept is? Is it after the music is done? Talk about that part.
Well, this time I knew it was going to be an aerial from the beginning, which I usually don't know when I start with a project. And I knew what the concept was going to be. And I was thinking, like, what am I going to do? And then I thought, I want this big hall with all these clocks and one big central clock, and all these secret passageways. And I was just describing a Jeff Bertels painting. And Jeff Bertels is the guy who painted basically all my Arion albums. And he didn't do the last two Arion albums, so I hadn't worked with him for a while. But I thought this has to be Chef Bertels. And also the reason I didn't ask him anymore was all his paintings are in my house and we didn't have space anymore. We had like 8 of his paintings and there was no space. And now I moved into like this huge house that used to be a school that's built 100 years ago. So I have plenty of space. So I
Oh,
was
nice.
like, Chef, I want like the biggest painting you ever made for me. It's behind me, if you can see it.
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
amazing.
uh, it's yeah, it's yeah, you can see, I'm 2 meters, so it's 150 by 120, and I knew that a lot of people would be saying, yeah, but Chef Petros is Arion, and this is Star One, but what the hell? I think
Yeah.
I like this album so much that it deserves a Chef Bertels painting. So, but of course, I had to be early because painting a huge painting like that with all these little details takes him at least half a year. So really early, I already asked him and told him my plans, and so he could work it into his schedule.
When you're working on albums from album to album, do you also try to bring in anything new in terms of guitars, instruments, things to also try something new from that angle, or do you,
Always,
yeah, or do you
always, yeah.
stick? You don't stick to just this is my favorite guitar. It's the one I go with, or
I try not to. In the end, I always do. I
yeah,
try
right.
lots of different stuff, and I'm like, no, like synthesize. I try all the plugins, I try all the software, all the new stuff, and it's getting better. But it's still not my analog synths. They still have that sharpness and that you can't rely on them. They can probably out of tune, but that makes them so cool and so special. Same goes with guitars. I try all these other guitars. I tried a lot of different amps, different mics, different speakers, and every new album I make, I spend like 2 weeks only on that. This time I went to a studio in Holland, Sandlane Studio, where I also record the drums. And like for a whole day, we've just been trying speakers and mics
Oh,
because they have like a lot there. So we tried
yeah,
like 20 speakers and like 40 mics and recorded it all because you can't hear it anymore at the end of the day. And you have to
right, right,
record it,
right.
and then the next day you have to compare them. Because for me, I need A/B comparisons. Um, and I also don't want to know what it is, because you might favor it like my own speaker. You see, my own speaker sounds the
Right. So
best.
you don't even know which one you're listening to. It's like a
No,
blind test.
blind test, and I write it down, and I do that every time. So every time I'm looking to improve my sound and do something different than what I did before.
Does it end up
Um,
where you always end up picking the one you were gonna pick anyway by accident? That just your ear goes to that.
yes, that's probably it. I'm used to it. So I always go back to the same speaker. But this time there was like one mic that gave so much so much power and push in the bottom that I was better than my mic. So I had to grudgingly had to admit that it was better than my mic. So I bought that mic. And also I discovered the EVH, the Eddie Van Halen amp, um, which has different settings, has clean settings and grungy settings, and that's very cool. So that's new on this album.
You know what
Uh,
used to happen to me was I would spend time at a guitar store with an amp, and and then when I brought it home, it wouldn't sound the same. Does that happen to you?
you mean it sounds the same? What?
It wouldn't sound the same when I brought it home. It was
No, 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 but you can't. I really don't understand these guys who are in a shop and they try 3 guitars. I like that one the best. How can you tell? It's
yeah,
it's even like in which order do you listen to them?
right.
If you listen to a Fender first that has lots of top, and then you try a Gibson, which doesn't have that top, you're gonna miss the top. But if you would have first listened to the Gibson, you would have said, "Oh, that Fender is way too sharp." So it really matters in which order you listen, and that's why
That
I
too.
always
Yeah,
record. It's
that's interesting.
always compare recordings, the next day, and maybe even take a week to compare everything, and um, I love it. You would say like it's a tedious job, but I love it because you know you're working on a new album and you want the best sound ever for your album. So
You have to have a lot of patience for that. Like that's
I
something.
have
Yeah.
for sound, I don't have patience at all, you know, in life. But for making sound, for tone nerding, as I call
Right,
it,
right, right. I
um, I
mean,
have
it's important, but yeah, if you can sit through that and do it, it's
yes,
invaluable. Yeah, that's
yeah,
amazing.
and the studio likes it too, you know. They learn stuff too, you know. So it goes both ways. And
Yeah.
same with the analog synths, you know. Uh, I just hate to use a plugin and it's a sound someone made for you, and I would never use it, you know. I want to have this synthesizer that's all out of tune, and you got to really work to make it right. And I can spend hours on that and
That's fun. That is
get
fun.
my really own personal sound, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
You as a joke there, you mentioned Paul McCartney, but I'm wondering how if you are a Beatles fan and how big of a Beatles fan you are.
The biggest. I mean, that's my number one.
Really?
Well, it's fighting with Pink Floyd. You know, they're
Okay.
both.
Do you have
Sometimes I say,
what's your favorite Beatles album?
weirdly enough, Magical Mystery Tour. I don't like the
Really?
movie. I don't like the song. But
Right.
hey, it has I'm the Walrus and it has
Penny Lane
uh,
and
Strawberry Fields
Strawberry Fields.
and you know and Fool on the Hill. It just has my favorite tracks on it. You know, if
Yeah.
if 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 they would have been on Sergeant Pepper, you know, which basically was the plan, I think,
Right.
yeah, to
Yeah.
put Strawberry Fields and I'm the Walrus on Sergeant Pepper. It would have been Sergeant Pepper, but because Sergeant Pepper has a day in the life, you know.
Yeah, I
But
mean that's the thing that I've always found amazing that they had so many songs that the most amazing songs didn't even make it to an album. They were,
I
just
know, yeah,
singles or on Magical Mystery Tour or something.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
amazing. Where
Well,
did you?
that's just the way it worked. I think they didn't want to put the single on an album because then people would buy the album and the single, but they would already have the single, and then they would also have to buy the album. It has, you know, it
But
makes
they're the
sense.
only
But
band I know that did it that way.
is it true? Yeah.
I don't every I mean, all the Pink Floyd hits are on the albums. All the every band that's I don't know of another band that did it that way. That they have there's entire collections of Beatles singles that are like not on.
Was
There's tons of
Arnold
them.
Lane? I don't think Arnold Lane was on the first album.
It
Was it
wasn't.
on any album? No,
I'm not
I
familiar.
don't think so.
Maybe that
See
one.
Emily play. It was on Relics, but Relics was sort of like a compilation
Yeah.
thing.
Maybe it was a '60s thing more than anything.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
That might
yeah,
have been it. Did you
yeah.
watch the documentary? The Get Back documentary?
I tried, but it was painful. For me, it
Really?
was painful. Yeah,
Too
they were
long?
just sitting there, and I don't like the album at all. And I'm just, um, come on. The producer, I'm thinking of Tony Martin now because I just mentioned Martin,
George Martin.
George Martin. Shit, sorry. Huge George Martin fan. I mean,
Mm.
that's why I like the songs I just mentioned. You know, there's the
Right, and
production
he
is
wasn't that
so
involved
amazing.
with that one.
No, and it was just a band playing and live and shit. I like cool psychedelic. Well, you see the psychedelic colors here.
Right, right. No, it makes
Psychedelic
sense. The Strawberry Fields, I Am
productions.
the Walrus, that's exactly the vibe
I
in the room.
know,
I totally get
and
it.
that was the moment where they decided to stop playing live, you know, and start experimenting. And George Martin, it was amazing, you know, his productions. If you listen to it on headphones, it's fantastic. So yeah, I tried to watch it, and then poor George, you know, and Paul McCartney was, and I don't know, it was just, and Yoko sitting there, of course, and I don't know. I haven't given up yet. We're watching like 10 minutes after the movie. We're
Just
watching like 10 minutes.
skip to the third one. That's, the
True,
last
yeah,
one.
is that true?
Yeah,
Because
well,
they're long,
that's
you
the
know,
one
they're
where they
2.5 hours.
perform. That's the one where they perform and
Okay, okay,
on the roof and there's some,
yeah,
that kind of stuff. I I'm
okay.
I'm a, I liked it, but I sort of am with you a little bit. I at some points I just wanted them to just play. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
get to just playing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there is some cool
yeah,
stuff in there. Well, cool, man. I like talking other stuff with you. This is fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's forget
that,
about Star One. Come on.
again, Star One. Well, we'll call it officially Arjen Anthony Lucassen's Star One, official name. Revel in Time, out February 18th. There's a bunch of killer singles out there on YouTube and streaming and everything that you can check out. And I mean, listen, this guy makes more albums than anybody. So I'm sure we'll have another one after, you know, maybe that next year or end of this year. Or who knows what's going on in your brain there. Always fun to talk to you, sir. Good luck with it.
Cool, Roy. Thank
All
you
right,
very
man.
much, man. Always a
Talk to you.
pleasure.
All right, bye.